Imagine two friends, Mike and Jake. Both grew up in the same neighborhood, graduated from the same school, and started working around the same time. They earned similar incomes and had similar opportunities. Yet 10 years later, their financial lives looked completely different. Jake was building wealth, investing regularly, and feeling confident about his future. Mike was stressed about bills, carrying debt, and wondering why he never seemed to get ahead. The difference wasn't luck, intelligence, or a higher income. The difference was a series of financial habits and decisions made over many years. In this video, we'll look at 6 money mistakes that quietly keep people poor and how avoiding them can completely change your financial future. Where does the money go? Every month Mike received his paycheck and felt relieved. But just a few weeks later, most of the money was gone. He wasn't buying luxury cars or taking expensive vacations. Instead, his money disappeared through dozens of small purchases. Coffee on the way to work, snacks from convenience stores, streaming subscriptions, food delivery apps, online impulse purchases, and countless little expenses that seemed harmless on their own. At the end of each month, he would ask himself the same question: where did all my money go? The problem was that Mike never tracked his spending. He assumed that because each purchase was small, it didn't matter. Jake took a different approach. For 1 month he tracked every dollar he spent. The results shocked him. He discovered hundreds of dollars going toward things that added very little value to his life. Once he became aware of his spending habits, he was able to make better decisions. The first step toward financial success is knowing exactly where your money is going, because money that isn't tracked is money that often disappears. Lifestyle inflation. A year later, both Mike and Jake received raises at work. Mike was excited because he thought his financial problems were finally over. But instead of saving or investing the extra money, he upgraded his lifestyle. He leased a newer car, upgraded his phone, bought more expensive clothes, and started eating out more often. Within a few months, his higher income had disappeared into higher expenses. Even though he earned more money, he felt no richer than before. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it traps millions of people. Every raise becomes an excuse to spend more. Jake also received raises, but instead of upgrading everything in his life, he increased his investments and savings. He allowed some lifestyle improvements, but most of the extra income went toward building wealth. Over time, the gap between what he earned and what he spent grew larger and larger. That gap became the foundation of his financial future. Wealth is often built not by earning more, but by keeping more of what you earn. Credit card debt. One day Mike's car broke down unexpectedly. Since he didn't have savings, he used a credit card. A few months later came holiday shopping, another credit card balance. Then a vacation, then some home repairs. Before long, he owed thousands of dollars and was paying high interest every month. The problem wasn't the credit card itself. The problem was carrying balances month after month. Interest charges started consuming money that could have gone towards savings and investments. Mike felt like he was working hard but never moving forward because so much of his income was going toward debt payments. Jake used credit cards too, but only for purchases he could pay off immediately. He treated credit cards as a convenience, not as borrowed money. While Mike's interest charges were growing, Jake's investments were growing. One was paying interest, while the other was earning it. That single difference had a huge impact over time. Credit card debt is one of the biggest obstacles standing between many people and financial freedom. Waiting too long to invest. Whenever investing came up in conversation, Mike always had an excuse. He planned to start after paying off a few bills. Then he planned to start after getting a raise. Then after the holidays. Then next year. Years passed, and he still hadn't started. Many people believe investing is something they can do later in life, but time is the most powerful tool an investor has. Jake began investing small amounts as soon as he could. Some months he invested only $50. Other months he invested more. What mattered wasn't the amount, it was consistency. Over time, compound growth began working in his favor. His money started earning returns, and those returns started earning their own returns. The longer money stays invested, the more powerful this effect becomes. By delaying investing, Mike wasn't just losing money. He was losing years of compound growth that can never be recovered. Starting small today is almost always better than waiting for the perfect moment. No emergency fund. Life has a way of surprising people when they least expect it. One year, Mike faced a broken water heater, unexpected medical expenses, and costly car repairs. Each problem became a financial emergency because he had no savings set aside. Every unexpected bill forced him to rely on credit cards or borrow money. What should have been temporary setbacks became long-term financial burdens. Jake understood that emergencies are not rare events. They are part of life. Before focusing heavily on investing, he built an emergency fund covering several months of expenses. When problems occurred, he simply used money from his emergency fund and then replenished it afterward. He didn't panic. He didn't go into debt. He didn't lose sleep. An emergency fund may not seem exciting, but it creates financial stability and protects everything else you're trying to build. One day someone suggested that Mike save just $5 a day. He laughed and said $5 couldn't possibly make a difference. What he didn't realize was that small amounts saved consistently can grow into significant wealth over time. $5 a day becomes more than $1,800 a year. Invested over decades, it can grow into tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Jake understood that wealth is rarely built through one massive decision. Instead, it is built through thousands of small decisions repeated consistently over many years. He packed lunches, reduced unnecessary spending, invested regularly, and stayed patient. None of these actions seemed life-changing in a single day, week, or month. But together they transformed his financial future. Small habits create big results when given enough time. The people who become wealthy are often the ones who respect the power of small, consistent actions. If you avoid these 6 money mistakes, you may be surprised how quickly your financial life begins to improve. Wealth is not built overnight, but with patience, discipline, and better decisions, almost anyone can create a stronger financial future. Never learning about money. The final mistake is assuming financial education isn't important. Most schools teach math, science, and history, but very few teach budgeting, investing, taxes, debt management, or wealth building. Mike spent hours every week watching entertainment but almost no time learning about money. Jake dedicated just a few hours each month to reading books, listening to podcasts, and learning about personal finance. Over time, that knowledge transformed his decisions. Financial literacy pays some of the highest returns available. Every lesson learned can save thousands of dollars and create opportunities for decades. The more you understand money, the better decisions you'll make with it. At the end of our story, Jake wasn't a millionaire because of luck. He wasn't smarter than Mike. He simply avoided a few common mistakes and allowed time to work in his favor. Wealth is often the result of ordinary people making better financial decisions consistently over many years. If you recognize some of these mistakes in your own life, don't feel discouraged. The good news is that every one of them can be fixed. Start tracking your spending. Avoid lifestyle inflation. Eliminate high-interest debt. Begin investing. Build an emergency fund. Respect small savings. Continue learning about money. Your future financial life is shaped by the choices you make today. One good decision at a time can completely change your future.